One morning, all my bank cards stopped working, no payments, no access, just silence from the digital world I trusted every day. Even my phone lost signal, making it impossible to contact anyone or use mobile payments for something as simple as a bottle of water. It felt like a scene from a dystopian film, yet it happened in real life in Sweden, the world's most cashless country. In late 2024, the Swedish government mailed every household an emergency booklet with a shocking message: keep cash. Digital payments can fail. This warning wasn't fiction. It was a national policy shift after years of pushing for a fully digital economy. In Stockholm, even tiny food stalls and street musicians only accepted payments through QR codes or apps. There was a time when a thief robbed a bank in Sweden and walked away empty-handed because the bank had no cash. For years, cash users were treated like dinosaurs. Shops put up signs saying card or app payments only. A survey in 2018 showed that nearly half the population had been refused when trying to pay with cash. But everything changed in 2022 when Russia invaded Ukraine and panic spread through Sweden like wildfire. Fear rose as Swedes imagined missiles cutting power lines, shutting down servers, and plunging the country into digital darkness. The Minister for Civil Defense publicly stated that Sweden's national security situation was far worse than in 2018. It wasn't just about inconvenience, it was about survival in a system built on fragile wires and silent signals. Sweden's digital payment network depends on electricity, which flows through cables shared with neighboring countries like Norway. Cut one cable and suddenly bank servers and card machines stop functioning across the entire capital. And if the electricity fails, mobile payments collapse too, as telecom towers can only run on backup batteries for a few hours. Most people relied on a single app swish used by nearly the entire population for everyday payments. But this convenience came with a critical flaw: a single point of failure, one server that could shut everything down. Even cash was hard to find. Banks had closed physical branches and stopped handling bills altogether. Rural residents sometimes had to travel over 60 kilometers just to reach a working ATM. It was like constructing a skyscraper with no emergency exits, sleek, towering, efficient, but deadly when the alarms rang. Sweden didn't decide to go cashless overnight. It was the result of small choices made over decades. In the late 1990s, Swedish banks pioneered online banking ahead of most countries. The 2000s saw a boom in debit card use, slowly phasing out the need for physical cash. By the 2010s, the Swish app arrived and cash had nowhere left to stand. Faster, cheaper, more convenient. Each new step toward digital seemed smart, even inevitable. The government supported the trend, arguing digital payments would help curb tax evasion and underground businesses. Campaigns framed cash as outdated, while card and app payments were painted as modern, clean, and secure. At one point, Sweden's central bank even set a goal to eliminate cash entirely by 2030. But they overlooked one vital question: was the system truly safe? It wasn't until 2017 that the central bank finally voiced concern. What if the digital network collapsed? A report warned that essential purchases could become impossible without backup systems. Meanwhile, in Japan, cash remained king even in the world's most advanced convenience stores. ATMs were everywhere, and paying with physical yen felt just as natural as using a card. The Japanese government encouraged digital payments, but didn't force it, knowing the risks of earthquakes and typhoons. Natural disasters taught Japan to never abandon what works when all else fails: cash. Sweden chased speed. Japan preserved safety, two paths in the same digital age. Then came the global system shock of 2024, the day the internet blinked. On July 19th, a routine software update by an American cybersecurity firm triggered a global computer crash. Overnight, airports, banks, hospitals, and news stations were paralyzed by one tiny line of faulty code. In India, airport staff scribbled boarding passes by hand while confused travelers waited in endless lines. Hospitals had to delay surgeries because patient records were locked behind crashed systems. News anchors delivered the weather report using hand-drawn maps, powerless without their digital tools. It wasn't a cyber attack, it wasn't sabotage, just one small mistake, a faulty update from a trusted provider. Analysts called it the largest IT disruption in history, with estimated damages exceeding 1 trillion Korean won. But what if this had been a cyber attack, a deliberate strike to disable a country's economy? In modern warfare, the first missiles are often invisible, digital, silent, and devastating. In Ukraine, banks and communication systems were hacked before the first tank even crossed the border. As Sweden prepared to join NATO in 2024, experts warned, "We are now a target." The Civil Defense booklet didn't just mention backup cash, it also warned of cyber attacks and disinformation campaigns. The truth is, a cashless society is dangerously easy to paralyze, no bullets needed. One server crash, one line of code, and the economy freezes, leaving millions helpless. But the fear doesn't end with broken systems, it goes deeper into our wallets and identities. Enter the CBDC central bank digital currency, a new kind of money controlled entirely by the state. Unlike Swish or private apps, CBDCs are created, issued, and monitored by central banks. On the surface, it looks like progress, a safer, smarter form of currency for the digital age. But dig deeper and you'll find something else: programmable money. CBDCs can be coded with rules how, where, and when your money can be used. Imagine money that disappears in 30 days or only works in approved stores, not yours. That's not just currency. That's control economic power rewritten into software. China has already tested these ideas through its digital yuan, tracking how, where, and when citizens spend their money. In Canada, authorities froze bank accounts of protesters during the 2022 trucker demonstrations without court trials. With digital control, no physical force is needed. The money simply vanishes, and so does your freedom. Unlike cash, digital money leaves a trail: every cup of coffee, every donation, every step. And with programmable currency, that trail can turn into a leash. But this isn't just about dystopian futures, it's about present-day readiness. In 2025, South Korea launched a pilot project called Project Han River to test its own CBDC. 7 major banks participated with real people using digital currency in convenience stores and cafes. Phase 1 involved over 100,000 citizens, and it's just the beginning. The next phase, turning over more than 100 trillion won in government subsidies to a programmable system. Officials say it'll prevent fraud and ensure transparency, and it probably will. But it also means the government can see, track, and possibly control how you spend every cent. That level of insight has never existed in human history, not even under monarchs or empires. And yet most people are unaware of what's coming or what's already here. South Korea is rapidly becoming one of the most cashless societies in the world. Less than 15% of purchases are made with physical currency. On some bus routes in Seoul, handing the driver cash will get you a confused smile and no ride. Even traditional street vendors now display bank transfer signs next to their food. But what happens when all of it stops, like in 2018 when a fire took down an entire district's networks? Back then, a single telecom office burned, and the region plunged into a digital stone age overnight. News outlets described the chaos as a return to the digital stone age where nothing worked and no one could pay. The fire revealed a harsh truth: our lives depend entirely on invisible systems we barely understand. And when they break, they don't bend, they shatter instantly and everywhere. In response, the Korean Central Bank issued a report urging balanced speed with safety, progress with preparedness. But the question remains, are we learning from Sweden's regrets or racing toward the same cliff? After all, Sweden wasn't wrong to modernize, it just forgot to build exits while upgrading elevators. As power grids blink and hackers grow smarter, the need for offline resilience becomes a national priority. Today, Sweden is reversing course, asking banks to resume cash services and citizens to keep emergency funds at home. The same government that once dreamed of a cashless utopia is now distributing how to survive guides. They learned the hard way: cash isn't just money, it's a backup plan when the system crashes. Cash works without electricity, without Wi-Fi, without servers, a quiet guardian in times of digital silence. It can't be hacked, updated, paused, or deleted. It simply works when nothing else can. That's not backward, that's wise. It's not resistance to progress, but protection from collapse. Some say carrying cash is old-fashioned, but so is carrying a first aid kit until you need it. Keeping a week's worth of cash at home isn't paranoia, it's a vote for personal resilience. Using cash once in a while helps preserve the infrastructure needed to keep it alive. Every coin spent at a market, every bill used at a local shop is a quiet act of civil defense. Because the moment we can't use it, we'll wish we had it, and by then it might be too late. Sweden showed us the view from the edge, now it's up to us to decide if we'll follow or pause. The future shouldn't be either digital or safe, it should be both. So what can we do right now to protect ourselves and those we care about? First, keep a small reserve of cash at home, enough for a week's essentials like food, transport, and medicine. Second, diversify, use multiple cards from different banks, not just one app tied to one account. Third, support businesses that still accept cash, helping keep that infrastructure alive. Fourth, educate the next generation, teach them that money isn't just digital numbers on a screen. Encourage kids to handle real coins and bills, to understand value with their hands, not just their thumbs. Talk about what happens when networks fail and why backups matter in a world addicted to speed. Use cash from time to time, even if it feels less convenient. Every use is a quiet vote for resilience. Advocate for policy that keeps cash alive as a legal, accessible tender for all citizens. Push governments to ensure that digital doesn't mean exclusive, that the elderly, rural, and vulnerable aren't left behind. Ask your bank if they still handle cash, and if not, ask why not. Choose stores that give you the freedom to choose how you pay, not just the illusion of convenience. The future is flexible, or it isn't a future at all. Rigidity will crack under pressure. We don't need to fear technology, we just need to design it with real life in mind. Backup power, backup networks, and yes, backup money. These aren't luxuries, they're common sense. Resilience is invisible until the day it saves you. Then it's everything. The goal is not to reject progress, but to steer it wisely. A truly modern society is one that can absorb shocks, not one that collapses under them. Remember Sweden, a cashless dream that woke up in a blackout. The next choice is ours. Let's choose wisely with both hands open, one for card, one for cash.